Good morning, everybody. How are you? Hold on one second. I have to shut my door. I was just in the process, by the way, welcome to the show. It's HAL Sparks Mornings, Mega Worldwide, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time for a couple of hours. We discuss the trends, the stuff, the things, the whatnot that's happening in the world in a more relaxed fashion than the afternoon show. The afternoon show absolutely is built on us, collectively, and with me at the helm, I suppose, dissecting video segments. I don't know, splotches, splats. I don't know what we call them. Splats. Let's call them a splat because they're not really organized a lot of times. That the right-wing media specifically, and then some other like faux-aggressives or just plain stupid shit will put on the internet, and they will say to us, not me taking a 50-minute speech and going, I think this was the dumb part, but them saying, this exemplifies the best of my work. And in that case, I feel like it's fair game to dissect it for all it's worth. Just saying. Anyways, so there's more of that in the afternoons, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time every day, except Thursday, which is 4 o'clock, hour later, and then the radio show. And it's hump day, so I'm reminding everybody through. Also, like, subscribe, if you feel like it, thumbs up it. If you're on Facebook, use an emoji or two to let people know you're here. Let me know you're here. Let everybody know you're here. Share the show out. I'm eventually going to get this all encapsulated down into a little monologue. I'll get ChatGPT on it right away. Write me a monologue hitting these points that I can memorize and say in less than 15 seconds. And I'll just prattle it. Kind of like it seemed like when I started my radio show, the idea of saying, Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, like that rolls off the tongue now. But in the beginning, I was like, what time do we go to commercial? So anyways, hi there. How you doing? Hal should watch the hearings and fact check Republicans in real time. Yeah, we'd be here all fucking day, but we will be getting pieces of it because they will post it. Like I said, rather than us watching the whole thing and having to just sit quietly while the Democrats try to make some sense of it, and then me take every single segment put forward by the Republicans where they ask questions, we'll let them post what they think is their dunking piece, and then I'll go after that. Because it's not just about going after the other side's lies or misrepresentations or fabrications or puffery or any of that shit. Or even mistakes. There are enough mistakes to go around that if you spent all your time doing that, it'd be a waste of time. It is based on the idea that people, and we'll get to the SOTU in just a moment, people, when they start saying, I'm infallible, I have the best words, the other people are evil, when they start talking in those kind of absolutes, then everything is up for grabs. Everything gets the same treatment. If somebody's just even mistaken, I almost don't give a fuck. If they're mistaken and mean about it, then they get the attention. You see what I'm saying? Because, there's fucking 8 billion people on the planet. Like, what am I going to do? Go around, pop everybody's dumb balloon? Okay, so speaking of dumb balloon, boy, do we have a lot to talk about. But first, hi, chat room. Good morning. Welcome. How are you? Hello. Good to see you. MTG did exactly what Biden and his cabinet hoped she would do. Made a complete prat of herself. It was lovely. No complaints whatsoever. Well played, MTG. Thank you. Thank you for, by the way, being the Pied Piper of idiocy. Literally, like, follow me, guys. I got a great plan to make us look all like assholes. And then they all went, oh, okay. And my favorite part of the SOTU, I have to say, is lots of stuff. It was very good. The speech overall, aces, kicked ass. Like his ability to reflect on how they acted was, and go, I guess it's not going to be a problem now since you guys don't want to fuck with Social Security. I guess we're going to be fine. So now they can't even bring it up during his term or the next term. He can even watch for Biden to go, hey, the Republicans told me as long as I'm here, they're not going to fuck with Social Security. So, if they let this guy in, that doesn't mean they're not going to start up. So you probably want to keep me in there if you want to protect Social Security. DeSantis, you need to see who they want to talk to. They're probably talking to him about capsizing Social Security. So I'm just saying, it's just like they just teed this up. But the best part, oh shit, what the fuck was Huckabee talking about? We'll get to that as well. That one, I feel like I should do the Huckabee speech this afternoon, but it's just awful. I was so fucking bored. Anyways, the best part about the SOTU, there's a lot of great stuff. The best part was he got the Republicans to boo their own plan. He called out Mike Lee, and by the way, let's not fuck around with this. Where's this? Yeah, here you go. This video's been around for a while. We saw this during the campaign. Mike Lee, beg your pardon, talking to a bunch of donors, high dollar donors in a small restaurant setting, rolls up and listen to this motherfucker. Listen to him and understand he won re-election. He is from a very conservative state, and he truly represents. He's not a Marjorie Taylor Greene, rambunctious, rowdy house crowd kind of a guy. He's a senator. Listen to this. My objective. Oh wait, hold on. Shit. Did I turn the audio off of mine? I did. Hold on. In case this. To phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. People who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this. We're getting rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up. My objective to phase out Social Security. There you go. Phase out Social Security, pull it up by the roots, and get rid of Medicare and Medicaid too. So fuck you to MTG and everybody who was yelling liar and that none are doing this or that it's the fringe of this. Mike Lee is not a fringe senator. He's not a fringe member of the House. He's considered relatively mainstream. There's nobody who's accused him of being a Jan 6er or an insurrectionist or any of that shit. This is standard fucking policy. It isn't among the majority of Senate Republicans, I will give them that. But it's not a minority of House Republicans. Mike Lee is more indicative of the general Republican thought of the House. Yeah, Mike Lee wants to destroy Social Security. Pull it up by the roots. And Medicare and Medicaid are the same ilk. Pull it up by the roots. And then, on top of that, let's see, I think... Did I pull the other one too? Hold on one second. Because I grabbed a couple of things as reminders before, because I knew, we obviously, because of the SOTU, knew this was coming up. But let's see, the GOP commitment to America. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset. There we go. Yeah, this is the whole thing. Let's go. Blah blah blah. Get America back on track. Download the preamble. Nope. We want the whole thing. Stupid. Maybe the pocket card. Is that what we're looking at? So yeah, because they didn't put it on the. It's interesting that it is in the plan. There it is. There's the whole commitment to America, but it isn't on the pocket card. Yeah, I got flight inflation, curve with maximize production, reliable, clean energy, blah blah. Move supply chains away from China. That's already happening. Let's see. I'm gonna close this. So how do I close this? Anyways, all right, I'll just drag it over. This is the commitment to America that we're talking about. And I think it's under a future that's built on freedom or government that's accountable, uphold free speech, protect the, conduct rigorous oversight, right, and provide transparency, require the White House, restore the people's voice, and special treatment for members of Congress, okay, blah, blah, blah. Personalized care, confront big tech. Okay, this is just their one sheet. Anyways, the point is it's sunset all every 5 years, sunset the programs. It's interesting that this is the updated version, and maybe they edited it because it caught them off. Maybe that's more than likely. Maybe we're looking at a new version of it because I was able to scroll right to it before. Interesting. All right. I guess we're gonna have to go to that the Internet Archive and find the original version of it. Anyways, the idea that, hold on, this is gonna bug me now, and we're gonna bring it up. Sunset federal programs. I'll be more specific. Just the Rescue America plan. Here it is. Colorblind equality, safety, security, immigration, growth and economy, government reform and debt. Explore point 6. Yeah, here you go. So this is the full version. Here you go. Enact term limits for Washington ruling class, 12-year limits, blah, blah, blah. Begin paying down the debt. Debt equals politicians stealing from our future, blah, blah, blah. Yes, taking out a mortgage on a home is stealing from your family's future by giving each kid a room instead of having them sleep on the floor in your room. Yes, debt is evil. That's why Trump is evil. It's so stupid. Eliminate federal programs that can be done locally. What if they're not? Anything can be done locally. Unless you're in a red state, I suppose. Any government function that can be handled locally should be. Right, but is it? What happens if it isn't? Then we're back to the federal government going, oh, they can't afford it? And those people are what? Dying or having to move? We're having giant parts of our country just running for the border like it's Afghanistan? Yeah. Most government agencies out of Washington, move government agencies out of Washington and into the real world. All right. Again, sell off non-essential government assets, buildings, and land. Use the proceeds to pay down our national debt. Okay, so have a fire sale in the United States. To whom? You're going to change the law that says foreign countries can't buy land in the United States, or put transparency in LLCs to make sure the Saudis aren't buying all this government land? You fucking dumbass. All federal legislation, there it is, here it is. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. So if a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. That would include Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. The nice thing about it, the reason Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have been surviving all this time against Republican intransigence and fighting them is because you never had the votes to undo them. To repeal a law takes more effort than to stop a law that was never on the books. If you take everything off the books, then they can kill it in the crib again. And all you need is a Republican majority, like House, Senate, presidency. That's it. Because they'll set up filibuster rules for their own, and then once it sunsets, all they need is Rand Paul or this asshole to go, we need to put it back in a commitment to readjust it, and then while it's in committee, kill it in the crib. Never let it out of committee or filibuster it once it comes to. Or send it to the House, and people in the House will institute cuts that are unpalatable to the Senate, and it dies there. And while you're dicking around, it collapses because it never existed in the first place. It dies like any other bill. It's just, of course, that's what they want to fucking do. They've said so. This isn't some list of things that Democrats are afraid they're going to do. They're fundraising on the motherfucker. Look at this. Share it on social. Rescue America. By the way, they bought rescueamerica.com. There he is talking about it. An 11-point plan to rescue America. By the way, he's running for president. And he was in charge of the commitment to America. Same shit. Do you think he and this dipshit and Mike Lee aren't chit-chatting? It's just silly. Hi. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. There you are. Where are you? That's this guy. Okay, here you go. Back over here. There we go. Now, that's the most obvious one, and then of course the sunset every government plan every 5 years. And again, it's interesting to me that all the ones that are clamoring about term limits, none of them have made a commitment to vacating their seat at a certain time. Because self-imposed term limits are completely fucking legal. If I can't get this done in 4 terms, or in the case of a senator, 2 terms, I'm getting out of here. And then, even if you do, like I've successfully worked in government for this amount of time, now I'm going back to the private sector because that's where the real ass kicking is. None of them do it. It's so aggravating. Anyway, speaking of, like this is an ongoing, who wore it better? I have to say mine were, like particularly saucy, some of the things I wrote. Marjorie, what is this? Oh, this is the $1.5 billion in money for equity and diversity, like when they're not getting that much at all. Only about 174. Oh, this is her. That's from last week. We actually should look at that video. I had watched her whole broadcast on it, and she and other people were scissoring out this piece, which is why I didn't go into it, because a couple of them, I can tell they're afraid of me because they only release long form versions of their shit. Also, in future, I'm going to be putting chapters on the morning show, so that people who watch later can jump through, and then release the second hour as like a guest's podcast kind of thing separately on its own. Just so you know, starting with this with Phil coming in, if technology permits properly, because the stuff I've been using, it's been crashing shit, and I don't know why. It seems like the simplest stuff. Other people zip by with it. I've obviously got since I built my computer myself, obviously there's a connector in there that's got like a cat hair laying across it that fries everything the minute I try something. Anyways. Auditioning for Mob Wives. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. Oh, this is her. You're a piece of shit. That whole stuff. This is where she was trying to do her makeover because she's going to be Trump's VP. She really believes that. I don't get the fur collar thing. Honestly, really odd choice. Like it seems like, you know, as someone who comes from Kentucky, redneck glamour. One of those, y'all, I'm putting on my dating jacket, that kind of idea. By the way, it's a tiny bit of good news, if I may infuse this. These two hate each other. Yeah. I don't mean they're jealous. I don't mean they have a hard time working together. They fucking hate each other. Let me be abundantly clear. They hate each other. They're jealous and mad and disgusted and territorial, and it's great. Both of them, like, as bad as they hate Joe Biden, they would shit on each other faster than they would ever go after him. Just keep that. Always, there's some of these like little nuggets of reality that you just kind of keep on the shelf as like a bauble to look at. You know, like, oh, you know, anytime I need to relax, I just look at it, kind of like a little Buddha statue. MAGA Betty and Veronica, exactly. And her little like balloon bullshit, yeah, this was, by the way, people have been posting this too. Next time you hear Republicans bitch about the border problem, understand they didn't pay for the border because yeah, this is the other thing. Like people matching up her walking with this person. Yeah. I like, let's see. I feel like there's a better one in here. Hold on. Proud Trump hater. There you go. Yeah, that's the balloon. Nah. I'm walking around with my balloon, y'all. Also, like, does it ever occur to them that this does the work of the CCP? That it like, they sent that balloon over here to show us who's in charge, and then I'm going to bring my little balloon to show them how weak Biden is. Like, how are you not working with them? What about Huckabee Sanders? Oh my God, that was so dry. Oh, good Lord, it was. Summer and I watched it, and we were like, for fuck's sake. Like, do I think that's real fur? No, I don't. I mean, it might be cats. Who knows? She look at this. Now, understand also that last year, both of them stood up and yelled. This year, Marge did, all dressed in white to stand out from everybody else. Lar! And, but Boebert largely kept her mouth shut, insofar as we know, and she didn't stand up like she did last year at all. So, okay, so Huckabee Sanders. Let me a moment about the Huckabee Sanders response. The thing that kept coming back and happening again and again, and like I said, maybe we'll go through parts of it tonight, but it struck me as the biggest response I had while watching it was, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Trump went to Afghanistan once. They flew him in on Christmas, flew him right out, like in an area, by the way, that was like the most secure for, hundreds of miles. Like, he flew in there, he did the thing, and then he flew out. And that's, for all the talk about like Biden's in a green screen Oval Office, or it's the Amazon Oval Office and he doesn't even go to work there, blah, blah, all this shit from the Qs that was happening, which is, by the way, in retrospect, we need to go back and just have let's review what Q thought about the first year of the Biden presidency and all the shit about them saying that that's not even the real White House. I mean, right now, it gets funnier every time you see it. But she tells this anecdote about going with Trump to Afghanistan. Biden's been to Afghanistan and Iraq like a dozen times. And by the way, in all of those times, never suggested that he should get the Medal of Honor for taking the fucking plane ride. Because remember, that was Trump's thing. I had checked around to see if I could give myself the Medal of Honor because that was a scary flight. Yeah, it was in the dark. Right. Previous presidents have gone to this shit all the time. Like, you're not special, motherfucker. It's part of the gig. But he was like so overwhelmed because he didn't chicken out. Like, good Lord. And then she, Michael Steele pointed out a fact that I zoned out on because who gives a shit? But he fixated on the fact that she never said his name during the whole discussion about the trip. And this idea that he used the word son. Son, your job's harder than... Trump never fucking calls anybody son. Sir stories are ridiculous with him. Like, he makes a sir, we're so happy you could throw turkey legs and paper towels at us. Sir, like, we know the sir stories. But at no point have we ever seen Trump say, son, this is the good... Like, that's something her dad says. She has spackled that shit from other Republicans who absolutely use that phraseology, and that just descriptive for soldiers. Son, to play, when they love to play general, they talk to soldiers and call them son. Or, you know, obviously it was a male soldier he was talking to, because, I don't know, it'd be hilarious if it was a female soldier and he's just like, son, wait, I'm a woman. Really? I didn't notice, but now looking at your bone structure, I kind of understand. Now I can't stop looking at you. Is that wrong? Iron Man, anybody? Anyway, so bullshit story, just nonsense. Also, like ego puffery, completely unnecessary and ridiculous. And her little like rascal stories about her kids and down home life and blah blah blah. She's talking to a window of like Q Karens that is narrowing by the fucking day. That speech, that like, fuck. If I open it up, we'll be here for 3 hours, because it's 22 minutes of some shit, and every other sentence is embarrassing. So I will stop and talk. And it's not really what we do in the morning show, but overall, like Marco Rubio reaching for a bottle of water brought more attention to the SOTU response and people to review the facts that were in it more so than her speech. I'd be a fantastic Tony Stark. I'd be a little more nerdy than he was, though. That's the one thing that I think is missing. You want slightly nerdy Tony Stark. It's why the movie, just for the record, it's why Ex Machina is a stupid movie. The guy codes by himself and physically creates the materials to make the robot muscles seem more fluid and blah blah blah, and doesn't put a fail-safe on them, and then doesn't like to talk code. The fuck out of here. I hate that movie so much. You guys know I have a chip on my shoulder when stupid people make smart people movies. I mean, I understand I'm not the audience for a movie like that. But there should be a level. Like Blade Runner perfectly does it. Blade Runner perfectly handles the replica robot rogue element. The original movie nails it. I know I'm diverting, but it's important to me. I'm named after a computer. Cut me some slack. The conversation that Roy Batty and Tyrell have before Roy Batty kills Tyrell about how to solve the viruses that happen when they try to add lifespan to the replicants, because once it's programmed in, they can't. That mini conversation about the technicalities of it like ends in a frustrating murder, because they're both equally smart and they know it can't be solved. And that's it. More human than human means that both Deckard and Rachel may or may not be and don't know themselves. And that's why they give them the memories, so that they don't have the emotional response of toddlers. And it doesn't work because it's a new update. Giving them memories is an attempt, and what it causes is more harm. Like, that's the fucking point. And given a second, during the Voight-Comp thing, during the conversation like they had about their lifespan, that's the reality of the tech involved and how people would talk about it. It's why Tyrell they don't have a lot of scenes with him, because he's trying to trick everybody into thinking they're real. The dude who actually does the tech, like the guy who makes the eyes, or the guy who, makes the robots or whatever, he talks about what generation they are, because he knows the difference, and he's got a bunch of robots roaming around. It's way past that point. It all makes sense. They set up the rules and they stick to it. There is no fucking hyper nerd who codes. And trust me, when I get on a tear about what I have built and not built doing this show, and the software and shit, I could bore the fucking paint off a barn. So the idea that that what's his name's character, "Yeah, I just don't like to talk tech. Let's have a beer." Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. And then at the very least, when he gets drunk, make him talk tech. Like, he gets drunk and talks about other shit. I think it'd be hilarious if he doesn't want to talk tech, but then when you get him drunk, he actually just rambles about code and materials and failures and all that stuff, as you would, until the dude just gets up and leaves as he passes out on the couch. Ugh. Anyways, all right, rant over. This is what happens when I don't want to talk about how boring the Sarah Huckster sandbag fucking SOTU response was. But the one thing we do want to cover for sure is wait a minute, what? Oh, okay, so a couple things. One is first thing trending right now, MH17. Breaking news: Vladimir Putin likely approves supply of missile system separatists used in 2014 to down Malaysian Airlines Flight 17, commonly known as MH17, over Ukraine, killing 298, an inquiry found. Yeah, no kidding. It says, but it's the Dutch. Their Dutch investigators found this. Yep. Yeah, Putin was suspect in the murder of MH17 passengers. Criminal prosecution possible after he loses immunity as head of state. Yeah, he's not gonna leave the country if he loses the position as head of state. He's gonna lose his head in the process. But nobody would be surprised about that at all. Okay, that's promoted. Trump's SOTU. So Trump did a like a follow-up. President Trump's, is this the one? Hold on.
Here's the real State of the Union.
This is terrible. The world is falling apart. We won't have a country very soon unless I'm over. And also, it sucks. You can't go outside without being hit with a bat. Fentanyl is in cornflakes. The border is a slip and slide of aliens and psychopaths. And my syphilis has entered stage 5. I didn't even know that was possible.
Over the past 2 years under Biden, millions and millions of illegal aliens from 160 different countries have stormed across our southern
diversity is our strength.
border. Drug cartels are now
Portland is a crater.
raking in billions of dollars.
And I'm broke as shit. How come they have all the good lawyers?
From smuggling poison to kill our people and to kill our children.
Both? Wait a minute. Are you saying that children aren't people? What the fuck are they? Pets? Probably. They're killing our people and our children. Also, our vehicles. They're poisoning our rivers and streams. And you can tell because the rivers and streams are vomiting. That's not flooding. That's our rivers throwing up.
Savage killers, rapists, and violent criminals are being released from jail.
Right into Mar-a-Lago.
To continue their crime wave, and under Biden, the murder...
Really? Are they handed a direct... Do they have a quota? I'm just curious. So so they let him out of the jail. Then they put him on a school bus or a Con Air. Let's just say they're in Con Air and put the bunny back in the box. And they're flying, and Steve Buscemi's got a Hannibal Lecter mask on, and John Malkovich is talking very fucking loudly. And so they want to go, I don't know, to Canada or some shit where it's easier to crime or something. And does Guatemala like kill the engines and make it and like remote control land it in, I don't know, Iowa or Missouri? Is that what that? And then will there be a movie on the flight? I guess is my question. Oh, you like my John Malkovich impersonation? Shut the fuck up, you asshole.
Rate has reached the highest in the history of our country.
Oh my God. If you don't count prohibition and parts of the 70s and the 90s. And it may be going down, but it's going to go up very, very quickly.
Biden and the radical Democrats have wasted trillions of dollars and caused the worst inflation in half a century. Real wages are down 21 months in a row. Gas.
No, they're not. Also, does he think that, like, the stimuluses that happened, if you're going to go money printer goes burr, there's too much money in circulation, that's why prices are high, instead of we're reshoring factories and inflation's caused largely by supply shock from supply chains? Any fucking person knows that. It's why it's why the Fed's raising of interest rates is having almost no effect on it.
Gas prices have soared and are now going up much higher than even before.
Yeah, just wait. They're not right now, but I got a phone call from my friends in Saudi Arabia. They told Jared that, prices are going down,
And the typical American family is paying $2,200 in increased energy and food costs each year.
Oh my gosh. And yet, because of the American Rescue Plan, that's offset largely by,
Joe Biden
zeroing it out. You know how we know? Look at the crowds at football games. It's fucking insane.
Biden's weaponized.
By the way, and this is, can I just have a moment on football games? Summer's a huge Steelers fan. I like sports ball whenever it's happening. I don't care who's, I'm for the team of the people I'm there watching the game with, because that's how you have a good time. And I have way too much other shit to invest my soul in that I just don't have I don't have the hard drive space for it. I appreciate that some people do. I just don't. Mine's sort of maxed out. But like, shit tickets are expensive for regular football games. Much less the fucking big games. Is there a Super Bowl ticket for under $250 anywhere in that stadium? Right? And it's gonna be fucking packed.
Justice Department, and I'm a victim of it.
Yes, you're a victim. It's very sad. We have there's a 1-800 number. You can talk to a counselor and tell them, where on the legal brief the bad man touched you.
Is persecuting his political opponents. His administration.
Oh yeah. Oh, so they're weaponizing the DOJ for some other reason, because Trump's not Biden's political opponent. He isn't. He's not gonna fight. He doesn't have a shot. Have you seen that bullshit with DeSantis? He called him a groomer yesterday.
Administration is waging war on free.
To be clear, Trump called DeSantis a groomer.
Free speech. They're trying to indoctrinate and mutilate our children. He's leading us to the brink of World War III, and on top of.
I thought we were already at the brink of World War III. All right, wait a minute. You can't keep moving the goalpost. Are we? Because he said we were in World War III if you really think about it. So, what?
All of that, he's the most corrupt president in American history, and it's not even close.
I know, I'm so jealous. I tried.
But the good news.
He's the most corrupt current president because we only have one at a time, and that's always true even when it's Jimmy Carter, because the most and least of something when there's only one is the same. But when you were there, all right, never mind.
News is we are going to reverse every single crisis, calamity, and disaster that Joe Biden has created.
Oh, that'll be easy. Day one, calendar empty, time for some golf.
I am running for president.
He almost forgot for a second there, I think. I'm running for president of the untitled States of America.
To end the destruction of our country.
Okay.
And to complete the unfinished business of making America great again.
Wait, what? I thought, wasn't it going to be easy and fast? Wasn't it? Didn't he run on like first of all, everything's easy and fast with this fucker. Especially the women that he hangs around with that aren't his wife. Anyways, also, he ran literally in 2016 on it could be done so quickly and so fast, and you do it and you bring in the best people and they would make a deal fast, and Ukraine and Russia would be over in 24 hours. Everything would be fast. And he had 4 fucking years, and he's like, still so much to do. It was so great, the best ever, but the best, I guess my best wasn't good enough.
We will make our country better than ever before.
So better than great? How do you even, I don't even know how that works. You're going to need a shoehorn, I think.
And we will always put America first. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, when he says he'll put America first, what he means is as a bargaining chip on the table in front of, when he's gambling or dealing with foreign leaders that he wants deals with. If he wants to build a tower and there, then he's like, we will give you a tower, but what will you give us? Let's see. Well, I could give you, how about America first? I'll give you America. Is that good? Is that worth a tower? Yeah. Dude's the shittiest, Russian asshat in American history. Well, second worst. Besides the dickhead, faux-aggressive, proto-Marxist who gave them nuclear tech because he thought it's unsafe for just one country to have nukes. Everybody should have them. And I'll give them to the Soviet Union so that they can put a check on us. Yeah, because peace was the idea. Yeah, and then they say again. Da-da-da. By the way, I can't. Well, here, let me. This is what I keep thinking of because a lot of people are showing like the ape and whatever, the baboon with her, and can I just say, where are we? Let me find a good one real quick on one of our friends. Site, so there you go. There's because there's so much shit. Scrolling. There you go. So I'm just gonna. This is what I keep thinking of when. This is what's been with me this whole time. Every time somebody posts this picture of her, honestly, there are a lot of things that could possibly come up. Let's look at here. Search for gifts, gifts, and people. This is this is what I like. The chair now recognizes the honorable representative from Georgia. Something like that. Whoops, from Georgia. I do that all the time. Anybody else, when they're writing from, their fingers get carried away and form comes out? Yeah, that's what's like. Like I want to take that audio and just put that under. So yeah. Oh, and this was this a bit much? It's hard. It's hard. No, I'm not dyslexic because dyslexic I wouldn't notice. I type dyslexic. My fingers are dyslexic, maybe. I just like the dude from RSBN was in her office. Did anybody see that shit? Remember, so Marge just got a divorce. and she's been knocking boots, allegedly, with the... Where is it? There's it going to be in here. Hold on. Green. I just go like... I'm going to take this. Because it'll come up, hopefully. Yeah, there he is. This is Patriot Takes had it. Check this shit out. Recognize that guy? As she's walking out with her stupid balloon stunt? Yeah, it's the RSBN dude. The dude she was, this guy. Who she's been knocking boots with before, during, and after her divorce. Hey, at least she's sticking with him. You know what I mean? Hey, I wish you well. If your relationship's based on a lie and you build another one and you're like, I like this lie better. Hey, who am I to tell you where to find love? But there he is, helping her in the office, helping her blow the balloon up. Yeah, good times. How desperate would you have to be to marry that? Yeah. Am I on Spoutable yet? Yes, I am. I am indeed on Spoutable. I have not set it up on this computer so that I can post regularly yet, but I'm working on it. Bit by bit. I've had a bit of a struggle trying to get my shit together in that regard. Also, let me make sure that once Phil comes in, I'll be able to see him as well. He may, let's see, studio mode, go and do the thing, and do. Okay, so I don't know if it brings him in during that thing. I've got to figure this. Yeah. This is a curious part of using this stuff. Okay, he's not in there yet. I'll open it over here. That way I can see him if he's coming. And then go back to me. Yeah. Fixing something. Okay. Then we go back to here. Just turn the editor off. Oops. I want this off. There we go. So yeah, this is I mean, it's not a surprise to anybody. Like they're up and yeah, there they are. Look at that cute couple. Oh, it's fun. Whatever. They're gonna have a little queue, and it's gonna pop out, and it's gonna grow up transgender and gay and Marxist, and it's gonna be involved in Antifa riots, and they're just gonna go. They're gonna tell rascal stories about how he was always just different. We bought him a Glock, and he didn't even want to play with it when he was 4. We knew something was off. So yeah, MH17, that's one of the big ones. Boston. Oh dear, please be okay. Please be okay. Tissue from whatever before image tissue. I don't know what this is. Okay, hold on. News. Boston Children's Hospital is doubling down on healthcare by upgrading security by facing a barrage of harassment, including bomb threats. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Okay. So, AOC says that Libs of TikTok lied about Boston. AOC, that account is still on the platform, isn't it? Regrettably, yes, it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is because in this current hearing, they're talking about, kids and gender-affirming care and all that. Are you familiar with the account Libs of TikTok? Are you aware that that account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital's account is still on that platform today, isn't it? Yoel Roth, yes, it is. That's Yoel Roth? Hold on, this would be the
account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital, claiming that they were providing hysterectomies to children.
Yes, I am aware of that and other claims from the account.
And are you aware that this lie was then circulated by other prominent far-right influencers?
Yes.
And are you aware that all these claims, which I have reiterated were false, culminated in a real-life harassment and ultimately a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital?
Yes, I am aware.
And this account is still on that platform today, isn't it?
Regrettably, yes, it is.
Despite inspiring a bomb.
So this is the whole,
hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
This is the Boston Children's Hospital. There would...
Gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus.
Boston Children's Hospital is now offering... Yeah, I don't know. By the way, this may be out of context. I wouldn't doubt that they're just answering questions about the long-term aspects of it. If you start your treatment, what's next? What will you do when you're older? What will further transition be like? What are the descriptions of these terms? And it's one of the things that will walk back people who are not completely all in on these things as well. But there you go. Why did they remove their video about gender-affirming hysterectomy? Because they're not offering it, they're explaining what it is, and it was taken as them offering it. Boston children born transgender, kids born transgender cause they prefer trucks to dolls. Okay. Hold on.
A child will often know that they are transgender from the moment that they have any ability to express themselves, and parents will often tell us this. We have parents who tell us that their kids, they knew from the minute they were born practically, and actions like refusing to get a haircut or standing to urinate, trying to stand to urinate, refusing to stand to urinate, trying on siblings' clothing, playing with the, quote, opposite gender toys, things like that. There is more and more a group of adolescents that we are seeing that really are coming to the realization that they might be trans or gender diverse a little bit later on in their life. So what we're seeing from them is that they always sort of knew something was maybe off and didn't have the understanding to know that they might be trans or have a different gender identity than the one they had been assigned. So that is a growing population that we are seeing, and that's being recognized as being trans and able to be treated.
Yeah, also, all treatments are not created equal. Just because they're giving them, say, puberty blockers or that kind of stuff does not mean that they are automatically making them a penis off of skin off their arm immediately when they come in. Like, again, fear-mongering, but there you go. Also, they knew from the point they were born. Yes, that's most trans people, including people like Blair White, who's a conservative trans person, will tell you precisely this. That's the skin from the arms. That's, by the way, notice those are not children's arms. Reproductive health, lies about performing hysterectomies on children non-fam. Hold on. Yeah, here you go. So we recognize that your reproductive health needs may be as unique as you are. Our goal is to help you address your reproductive health, management of bleeding, pelvic pain, blah, 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 menstrual suppression, contraceptive, gender-affirming hysterectomies, including ovarian are done in coordination with phalloplasty and medioplasty. We only perform gender-affirming hysterectomies on patients who are 18 and older. Dilation therapy and care of neovaginas. Red pill or blue pill? I don't know. All right, for people who have undergone gender-affirming vaginoplasty. What they will do when anyone starts, because being trans is a long-term process, they will explain to you where it goes, what's possible in your future, what you may or may not want to do. And a lot of, by the way, trans people don't end up having, the majority don't end up having, vaginoplasty or modifying their genitalia at all. They may have, a mastectomy, or they may have breast implants, but depending on which direction that they are going. But that doesn't mean they're following all these steps. But when someone comes in and they start the process, they're going to know, like, okay, this is the path that you can take. These are the limitations of it. This is what you have to tell someone, because effectively the way a hospital has to treat, unfortunately, the way they're treating it right now is on a psychological and physiological level, where they basically combine the psychological perception to the physiological perception, which is not which is the realm of psychotherapy first, and then by the time they get to the hospital, they should have gone through the psychological, testing, make sure that they're not just OCD, or they're not autistic, or they haven't become hyper-focused on this particular thing, or they just have body dysmorphia that is generally normal to them, and they're not just a gay kid or a lesbian kid, and that they've been, TikToked into thinking they're not gay, they're actually a woman, that kind of stuff. Like you want to check these things, because there are detransitioners, there are people who are not, who get halfway through it and regret it and all that kind of stuff. You have to have some sort of failsafe. Otherwise, again, you're arguing that Rachel Dolezal is black. That's the baseline. So once that's all happened, then you're going to come to the hospital portion of it. And even as a young child, the steps they're going to take are going to be slow and gradual, so it's easier to back out at some point. But you're also going to let them know that over time, these are your options. So far, by the time some of these kids reach the age of 18, there may be other ways to modify yourself physically or solve your gender dysphoria, biochemically or medically or any other treatment you might experience that might, because the future holds a lot of different changes. It's just reality. But right now, this is all we got. We can remove your uterus and that kind of stuff. You will not have a period and that kind of stuff. And we can make a penis out of skin off your arm or your leg. Most of they started with arm for a long time, and I don't know why. Like, I guess it's the sensitivity or the thinness of the skin. It's whatever. Anyways, that step is down the line for anybody who starts this, either potentially or definitely, depending on their decisions. So letting them know and explaining where they're going will allow for them to prepare themselves for what's lying ahead physically for them. As someone who is, by the way, for all practical purposes, being treated like someone with a physical disability. The analogy in the medical world would be you would love to dance, but you were born without feet. So we're going to get you a prosthetics, or you have an autoimmune disorder that keeps you from going outside, but you want to be a social person. So we have to do certain things, and some of it's not going to be pleasant, and to change you so that your disability will not interfere with your life. Because in practical terms, trans, more than anything in terms of how hospitals and doctors have to deal with it, is a physical disability. Just, if you were born with, missing your hands or something like that, and you want to play piano, like, that's a disability. You can't do what you feel you are driven to do, or, if you have a dream of being. So you got to find a solution to it. And so far, most of the solutions are imperfect. And so they have to be done in stages. They also, you may decide that it's too much. Cancer patients who are going through chemo sometimes decide it's too much and stop. Of course, people who are transitioning or start transitioning are going to go, you know what? No, I'm fine here and I'm comfortable as I am. That conversation, like, I'm having this conversation logically. I know trans people, none of them would have a problem with what I'm saying right now. None that I know, anyways. I'm sure there's some activists or, trans trenders out there, as they're called amongst by the trans world, that would call, that would just like scream at any questioning, which is, again, stupid, because I don't care what you say. I'm not going to call Rachel Dolezal a black woman after I know she's not black. At first, be polite, be respectful, be decent to strangers when you meet them. And if I didn't have any reason to suspect Rachel Dolezal wasn't black, I certainly wouldn't stand there going, I don't know, excuse me, miss, are you really black? Like, who the fuck would do that? Right? So it's an absurdity to say none of it, that all questioning it is endangering them. No, trans people are real. It's a real thing. It's been around for a long time. There may be a growing number of it because of social contagion and all that kind of stuff is also real. Look at, phases of tattooing. Look at phases of like the 60s sexual revolution. Like, a lot of people tried shit then that they were not into for a good long while because they thought they were supposed to be truly open. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's also nothing wrong with walking it back and going, you know what? It wasn't for me. It doesn't mean you're decrying the people who are actually into it. It's silly. So anyways, lots of stuff in there. Hold on. Oh shit. I hope Phil's joining us. I just realized I'm a rambling guy. Hold on one second. Hopefully all's well there, because there's a lot going on. Zelensky gave a speech last night as well. So let's see. I'll reload this. And let me check on the Twitter machine to make sure he's in there. Let's see. Coming on. Let's see. I just checked with him. So we'll see if he's coming up. And God knows we have plenty to cover here. But again, talking about the path someone will be on with gender-affirming care is not the same thing as assigning them the treatment and doing it to them at 9 years old. It's fucking garbage. It's also, you'll notice that the kids that are, either have, bought into like the TikTok trans movement or that kind of stuff, who are actually just gay or lesbian, when you explain more of it to them, the more informed they are about what it takes, what the limits are, and all that kind of stuff, they can then reassess and go, you know what? It isn't really that I want a penis. I just want a girlfriend. That some of them actually do that. There's a big group of lesbians that are worried that lesbian girls are being erased, and the detransition among girls is way higher than the detransition among boys. So it's got to be a factor, and there's nothing wrong with that. It does not deny the existence, and checking and making sure is healthy. Because it is an extraordinary act that someone will go through. You're setting them on a largely irreversible path. So making sure and dotting your I's and crossing your T's does not deny their existence. And as long as it's done respectfully, trans people understand. That's where the phrase transgender comes from. They look at somebody like Sam Smith or somebody like that as sort of like, or even Harry Styles, is like glomming on to their reality, their difficulty. If you look at it like in a futuristic analogy, the idea would be that prosthetics for people with missing arms and legs is getting better by the day. They're extraordinary. They now have articulating hands that track the nerves in your arm that can be linked up to it. Tony Robbins invested millions in this startup that is making these things, and they're 3D printing the hands, and they can, it's Raspberry Pi level technology, but they can send this shit out, and all over the world they can make people articulated, effectively robot arms. There's still a lot of limitations on them, but this is the first couple of generations. At some point, you are going to see people removing their limbs and having them replaced with prosthetics on purpose because they got so good. It's going to happen. We all know this, that in the future, that's going to happen, right? We're all settled on that. Like, everybody can knock me all they want to, but the minute they come out and somebody goes, oh yeah, the new robot eyes, yeah, they can see 1,000 yards. You can see a mouse's eyelashes at 1,000 yards, or read text this far in front of your face. They never run out of power, blah, blah, blah. Of course, everybody's like, how much is the surgery? That's what'll happen. At some point. Maybe not now, maybe not in 10 years, maybe not in 20 years. But somewhere along the line, we know this is going to happen. people who are born without those limbs are more than likely going to have an odd feeling, I would guess, about humans who do it on purpose. You know what I mean? There's gonna be a moment where they go, okay, I have to, you don't have to. What the fuck are you doing? If I could feel like a human feels with this hand, I would trade anything for it. And you're just trading it in because you think it's cool, or you think you identify as a cyborg. That's going to happen. It will happen. In the future of humanity, I got news for you. That's coming. No question. Faster than you think, even. So, because of the advances in, and even, quite frankly, the illusion of the advances in the surgery and treatments available to trans people currently, which are, by the way, still, for all practical purposes, nearly in the leaching stage in terms of where they could be one day. Because again, CRISPR-Cas9 and machine learning being what it is a very strong possibility that you and I, if they figure out a way in the next 50 years to make people live to be 1,000 years old, you might just decide you want to be a woman for 100 years because you're fucking bored. And you might get in, whether you're straight as an arrow, genetically pure in your gender and comfortable as you could possibly be, you might just get tired of it and go into one of the chambers that reverses all your chromosomes. That shit is an absolute possibility. We're not anywhere near that right now, though. And so when a child today who is trans is looking down the road at the changes that will be made to their body and the process that it will involve, that I keep thinking about our dear friend Joey, who's on Fox and Friends sometimes, who politically I couldn't be, I think a lot of his opinions are cartoonishly absurd. But he served us honorably in the military and lost both his legs. Man walks with 2 prosthetic legs. And sometimes, as proud as he is and as tough as he is, because he's a tough fucking dude, he will sometimes show the abrasions on his stumps. Oh, Phil needs the link. I just sent it to him. It's the same link as last time. I will send it to him again. Hold on one second. Copy. Copying that. Copy. Putting it in here. I can try new. Oh, sorry. He's on the old one. I see. Boink. There we go. I'll send it to him again. He's got it. Just send it again. Hopefully he will pop in and I will be able to bring him up. So, moments away. Philip is moments away, everybody. And we'll toss an extra couple minutes at the end of the show to add to it, because God knows we'll have plenty to talk about. But he shows the abrasions on the stumps of his legs. He also shows he's got these gyroscopic battery-operated prosthetics that are fucking amazing. They stabilize themselves like a Segway. And they're very useful. And you can't tell a lot of times that he even has prosthetic legs because of the fluidity of his walking. And that's, again, still not where it's going, not even the top of where it's going to go one day. They will be indistinguishable at some point. But they ain't there yet. And he deals every day with the physical discomfort of this situation. Same thing is true of trans people. A lot of trans people. And so making sure the kids understand where they're headed will also help them psychologically adapt to those changes when they do come along. This is going to happen if you're going to do this, if you're going to go this route or this route. If you go this route, you will have these things removed. But since you were born biologically male, you will have a potential for prostate cancer that is higher than your female, the other women that you hang around with. And you're going to have to watch for that. And if you don't get tested for it because it makes you uncomfortable, you might die early, and we don't want you to. So it's something you're going to have to deal with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because again, if you talk to people like they have a physical disability, and there's no shame in having a physical disability, especially one that he can't see me. Boo. He should be able to. Okay. Let me close this. I see. Let me switch over. maybe this is it. Maybe there's just a trick to this because it's very tricky. Hold on. Nope. This guy, editor. There we go. And I'm gonna pop over. Sorry about this, kids. I thought I had this rigged beforehand because it's, again, the last time I used this. Okay, so let me transition over and see if he pops in there, and we can see him in this particular situation in a second. I will, let's see, there we go. He should be in there. Let's see. Yeah, he's I'm sending it right. There we go. Close. We're up and running. He just has to pop in there. Let me see if. Hold on. Don't get out of here. I'm gonna do something real quick, and I'm just gonna check it on my end to make sure that we're not too screwy. Pardon, guys, because this is always a difficulty. I'm just trying to improve on the. No, great. My thing has a bunch of like blow up dolls on it because I was looking at that. Okay. Oh, I'm never gonna be able to. Okay, that's gonna be annoying. Okay, copied that over here. I'm solving something. Give me one moment. As a matter of fact, talk amongst yourselves while I fix this, guys. Hold on.
Hey, there we go. Okay. Okay. All right. I can't stay on after, by the way, Hal, because I'm starving, and the restaurant's closed here because I can stay a little extra, but they close at 10. They close it. I can stay for an hour. I'll stay until 1:15, if that's okay with you. Hi. Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. Good. Back in Lviv for a little visit. Mm-hmm. Yep. A couple of meetings and see some people. Yeah, I'm helping out a charity here. A children's charity. Hmm. Which I might turn into a vlog. We'll see. Well, today. day for us in Europe. Yeah, and then the State of the Union. Yeah, absolutely. I got woken up in the middle of the night by a solicitor, a guy wondering if my insurance was good at 4 a.m, which was lovely. So I just stayed up and watched the State of the Union, which wasn't that a lot of fun. So and then we'll talk about Zelensky when you got me plugged in. Great. Yeah. hmm Lots to talk about. I did. Bobert didn't. Bobert didn't. MTG didn't. Yeah, a lot of them didn't. You know, they're morons. Yeah, they're in the minority. Zelensky's speech in Parliament and the British. Zelensky's speech in Parliament was, I'm very proud to be a British. I'm proud because his reception in the UK was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw the video of him being ushered into number 10 Downing Street as well. That was pretty. That I had to. That made me a little teary-eyed. Just the sheer support that the guy got. Just lined the entire hallways of number 10, and him walking through that with everybody applauding. I mean, that choked me up a little bit. And then his speech, I thought his speech in Parliament Hall was really good. I was slightly surprised he didn't. I mean, he did do "God Save the King," but he didn't. What Zelensky normally does when he gives a speech is he models it to his audience. So, like when he spoke to Congress, he spoke about the Battle of Saratoga. When he spoke to the French, link up, fraternité, égalité, liberté. So he models his speeches, and he didn't really do that this time in Parliament. Right. But he made a little quip about getting, some delicious English tea, and I hope that this time I'll get some powerful English jets, which was a little bit. It's funny being British and realize that, buddy, they're not English jets. They're British jets. There's
right. Yeah. It's the UK.
It's Great Britain and Northern Kingdom, Wales, Scotland.
Right.
And such jets. But and it was funny because the speaker of the House Speaker is Scottish. So
yeah.
I got a little kick out of that. But it was a moving speech. It was as it is. I mean, he's an incredibly talented speaker. Yeah. I mean, there's just no way around it. He is really good at doing that. Surprise, surprise. He's a comedian. He's a he's a media guy. He came from media. The guy knows how to get a message across. He knows how to speak, and not in his native language as well. Let's keep that in mind. Look, we're locked in, Hal. We're locked in, all of us.
Right.
All the Western nations are locked in with Ukraine. There is no scenario that I can see where even if it goes on for years and years, which it's not going to, and we should talk about that, because there is an offensive that's actually happening right now. I think the winter offensive is actually happening, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But the speech he delivered, I think, like the speech that he gave to Congress, locks us in, and I can't see a scenario where the West loses support, even if this goes for years and years and years, or if some scandal break about corruption. If the option at this point is, if the West were to lose support, or if Ukraine were to lose the support of the West, and say the West, including the United States, withdraws its support, we will have to watch in silence a genocide. And that's not hyperbole.
Right.
The Russians will kill Ukrainians in the tens, if not hundreds, if not millions. And I know that sounds crazy, but they've done it before. They have they have a track record of this when it comes to Ukraine. So is the West going to suddenly be like, well, that corruption issue, or this is taking too long and you're not negotiating, we're going to stop supporting you. And then on all of our television screens, we watch Russians just mowing down women, children, old men, raising entire cities. What will so we're locked in. We're kind of, critics would say that we don't have a choice, and maybe they're right. But in this instance, I'm happy to be in those circumstances, because ultimately, they've got to win. They've got to win because the Russians are just nuts, man.
Yeah, you saw that.
They've been saying the most wild, like Kadyrov saying that it's time to go into Poland, and Alina Kabayeva, Putin's mistress, saying that our weapon, our messaging and our propaganda is just as useful a weapon as an AK-47. I mean, they admitting that they burrow into our brains and that they do misinformation and disinformation campaigns.
Right.
So Russia has got to be beaten in this war. It's just, and then hopefully, in all seriousness, hopefully it'll give them an opportunity to reflect and maybe change for themselves.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
so
I
Zelensky's
don't.
appearance in the UK with a massive victory. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. There are a bunch of people talking about like the what happens to where does Putin go after he's deposed in Russia? I'm like, if he's deposed in Russia, he's not going anywhere. He's never leaving the country again. He's certainly not going back to China or Iran. Yeah, exactly. He leaves in a box, and he knows it.
He's dead.
Yeah, he knows it. And the only way I think he could stay alive is to stay like hidden away in a part of the country in one of his mansions, protected by the whatever compromise he has on whoever takes over, and that's it. Like, he negotiates a Pol Pot situation for himself.
He could, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could negotiate. Well, like Yeltsin did at the end of Yeltsin's era, because remember, I was there during that period. There was a negotiated settlement for Yeltsin because a lot of people wanted Yeltsin on to be strung up, and more importantly, his two daughters, and the gray cardinal behind Yeltsin, a guy by the name of Voloshin. Yeltsin was going to die. Everybody knew Yeltsin was not long for this earth. His liver was probably not going to pack. He was going to pack in pretty soon. But his daughters and this guy Voloshin and kind of his inner circle, they needed guarantees. So that's why there was this whole. I mean, like every 6 months, a new prime minister, because they were trying to search for somebody to take over for Yeltsin. And ultimately, they found Putin, and Putin made the agreement with the daughters and with Voloshin, I won't come for you, and so they were able to quietly go off into their dachas, their summer homes, and their Italian manors at Lake Como or something like that, or the south of France, and quietly disappear. I can't see Putin doing the same thing. There might be like a house situation. There may be like. Send him to Elba, like Napoleon. We're not going to kill you, but you're never
Pol
going
Pot,
to see
same
the light
shit.
of day again, and you're going
And if we hear from you, we got to kill you because
yes,
I agree. Because if we hear from you, you have to basically make people think you're dead. Because if anybody hears from you making any noise, we got to hand you over to the International Criminal Court as we try to rebuild any sense of of a country that going forward. Right. So, anyways, that's that. I just find that to be bullshit.
More likely than not, he's dead.
Yes.
So Zelensky goes to the UK. He solidifies support from the Brits. and not just the Brits. He's probably going to get the fighter jets that he requested. The Brits have openly said that they're starting training on NATO fighter jets. My bet is they'll get F-16s, but they could get Tornadoes, which are kind of an older generation fighter from the Brits.
Right.
I would be willing to bet they get F-16s. And then tonight he's supposed to go to. He's probably actually there now, in Paris, and he's going to meet with Macron, and then he's going to meet the German Chancellor, who's going to have to go from Berlin to meet him in Paris, which is kind of a bit of a slap in the face for the Germans. And we'll see what comes of that. And then he'll come back. And as I say, I mean, there is a winter offensive. I think
so you think it's going on right now
as we speak?
Right.
I do. I think we're look, I don't want to say definitively, but I think that they're slow rolling it out. One other thing before we move on, one other thing about the UK and the UK visit. Immediately after Zelensky's speech, we had an air raid. We had an air raid attack. It was knocked out of the air, but we had the sirens go off in Kiev, and I get my alarms from Kiev. Which the reason I stopped and went back to mention that is because it's another pure example of how the Russians use military might as a terror effect, as messaging. They try to kill people in order to get their terroristic message across. They're speaking with their weaponry. So they're saying, how dare you go and have this wonderful speech in Parliament? We will remind you. And they could have killed people.
Yes.
Over, we're going to prove a point. It's terrorism. It's that.
Right.
That is the definition of terrorism.
Yeah, they're trying to manipulate the populace with violence to turn against the political strategy that they're currently using. That's the very definition of terrorism. It is exactly it, and they know it. Right.
That's terrorism.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. We need. You know what we really need to do in the state, and I doubt. Well, who knows? But at some point, they should be Russia needs to be designated as a terror state, not a sponsor, not a state sponsor of terror, a terrorist state. It should be. It would be legitimate. We can go through the debate and the argument, but ultimately, I think it should. But back to the front line. So we know that there's a pocket around Kharkiv where they seem to well, not a pocket, but there seems to be some sort of offensive being launched toward Kharkiv. Bakhmut remains a real hot zone, despite all, how many times have we heard that Bakhmut is imminently falling? Right. Well, they're still there. And they're still draining thousands who they just slaughter them. Yeah. Not that the Ukrainians aren't going without casualties either. I mean, it's a real mess in Bakhmut. Yeah. It's nasty. Huh. And then there's a third prong. I think they're doing 3. It looks like they're doing 3. So you've got the Kharkiv front, you've got the Bakhmut front, and then you've got Kherson. That's kind of what it looks like right now. What gives me pause, and we'll see what happens in the next 2 to 3 days. But what gives me pause is that what normally the Russians like to do in their military doctrine is to first do a massive artillery barrage. And while they have ongoing artillery strikes, it's not the kind of barrage that I would expect in anticipation of their waves of soldiers that they intend to throw at the Ukrainians. So they may be slow marching at the beginning, but I think we're starting to see the offensive, yes.
Gotcha. I guess. Oh,
by the way, the way, Hal.
Yes.
Well, I was just. I don't know if I should leave this until the end. Well, no, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave this until the end. Go ahead. Okay. I've got something special for you.
Oh, that's very exciting. Okay. And there's a bunch of things. Yes. That are. I know. The reality is that there's a mix of things happening right now as far as gear. Leopard tanks coming for what will be a later attack. The materials there for the long range missiles, that new bomb that they got, the new missile that turns into a drone and all that kind of stuff. That's arriving soon, and that increases their range by I want to say 150 kilometers beyond what they currently can fire, which is a long way. Yeah. So for
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots to talk about that part.
They will not, the Russians will not be able to gain the kind of territory that they need to gain to get a significant advantage before the Western weapons, the really good stuff, the Leopards, the Challenger, the Patriots, the missile system. The Russians they don't have the time. They don't have the time to take the territory that they would need to offset or to stymie the advantage the Ukrainian military is going to have by mid to late March. And I mean, we're 10th of February today, right? 9th or 10th?
Yeah. That's not a long way off.
No, they're not going to be. What you're going to have to take Kharkiv. You're going to have to take Dnipropetrovsk or Dnipro. You're going to have to take all sorts of towns, and the Ukrainians are going to fight them every stretch, every inch, and create, like they did in Mariupol, like they're doing quite frankly right now in Bakhmut, which is to create a vacuum, a place for Russian soldiers to just be drawn in and slaughtered. And they're going to do that every single village, every single city. I've been to a lot of cities during this war. I've been to Odessa. I've been to Kharkiv. I've been to Kramatorsk. I've been to all sorts of places now here in Lviv, and they're all fortresses. They're all fortresses. They're all just you can't just ignore them and move forward, because while they're fortresses, yes, they're also centers of military might. You can roll out from some of these cities and attack the Russian rear or the Russian supply lines. They're not going to get to Kiev, which is where they need to get in time before all the new weaponry comes in here. And when the new weaponry comes in here, they're going to slice through the Russians like a hot knife through butter. It's just, I think, and I also have a lot of military contacts and friends, and I've spoken to them about this. All these kind of doomsayers who say that, oh no, like these main battle tanks, they're too big for Ukraine. They'll get stuck in the mud, or
Ritter's been saying. Ritter's been saying that for 10 fucking months when he said everything was going to be over in a week. And so
he's a moron.
Yes, he is. He's and a convicted pedophile. We can never stop bringing that up.
And a convicted.
Yeah. Just gross.
No, he's not because look. I mean, he's gross and a convicted pedophile, but even a convicted pedophile might be right in his assessment of stuff. The reason I bring up the pedophile thing is because he's desperate. He's desperate to find safe haven, and the only people who will put him on the air or will give him a bullhorn or give him a platform are people with an agenda. Because any decent human being, I mean, Napolitano puts him on, I suppose. He goes on all these TV shows, but that's the only place. It's like my old colleague at CBS. I mean, she can't find a safe haven, so she spouts crazy shit, and and it gives her an audience. People who lose their? Go ahead.
I was just saying, one of the most depressing things, though, about this messaging in terms of that stuff is that apparently Russia has asked Roger Waters to speak at the UN on their behalf.
He did, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't see what he said, but I saw him on a huge screen at the UN, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah. I like the idea that, and I mean, this is horseshoe theory at its best. That at certain points you go so far around that you've come full circle to what you hate and despise, and this guy who was like all against authoritarianism. The focus of the wall is largely on governmental authoritarianism, and then this motherfucker stands on behalf of Russia. It's just it's stunning. I mean, I have to say it's not all that surprising. Because we've seen folks like that who, are easily turned. But Jesus Christ, that's horrible. Like the music. I mean, you talk about like that. The death of Jeff Beck.
As a huge Pink, I'll still enjoy his music, but as a huge Pink Floyd fan, that was very sad to see.
Yeah, but my David Gilmour's cred went up.
Did you see, by the way,
yeah.
There you go. I was just going to say, did you see Gilmour's response?
Yeah.
Somebody was very hypercritical of Waters and was like, "You're funny, fat," and then Gilmour was like, "Yep, that's all true."
Yep, that's what we dealt with. That's why he left. That's why it fell apart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Anyhow, yeah, I like the new a slight longer delay. It seems. I don't know. Maybe that's because of the internet connection that I'm
right
on.
now.
But,
I'm actually because it wasn't. Something was being funky, so I bounced you through. I'm literally just grabbing a screenshot of you, and that's why the slowness. So I apologize for that. And I'll make a gesture or something. We'll come up with a gesture that I'd go like this right before I want to talk, and you'll know that it's coming.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
we'll work out the bugs. I should be back in Kiev, but I should. Don't hold me to that. I should have for Saturday. I mean, we could talk about Seymour Hersh's BS article.
Yes.
Well, I say BS article. It could be true, but so Seymour Hersh put out an article saying what he proposed. I mean, he claimed it was proof that NATO and the U.S. Blew up the Nord Stream, but he only has one a background source. And the rest of it's just a narrative. He just writes up a narrative with nothing, supporting it. There's no. He's got the one source, which is unnamed, and then nobody else. He doesn't attribute any of the rest of the narrative to anybody. It's just him writing. They did this, and then they did that. Well, how do you know they did that? I don't. Right. I don't want to hear what you think happened. I want to hear what proof you have. And he didn't do any of that. But of course, the tankies and the Ukrainians and the self-loathing Westerners have glommed onto it as see proof. Yeah, I don't spin it. I read the article and it's like, well, it's a nice. I can run fiction too. So there's that. I wouldn't put stock in if anybody gets into an argument. I mean, it's Hersh's article. I mean, I'm not saying that the West didn't do it. I'm saying we don't know. And why don't we know? Moscow has all the information. Right. Moscow has all the data. Hell, when they were promoting Nord Stream 2, they went out of their way to try and guarantee everybody, the Norwegians and the Scandinavians and the Baltics, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. We have this thing completely monitored. An anchovy can't take can't swim around this thing when we won't know it. And then suddenly it gets blown up and they're like, well, we can't prove it, but we darn know it was those evil Westerners. Right. Well, if you were able to monitor, give us the deets, prove it, bring your information and show it. And the fact that they haven't really, about a week ago, about 5 days ago, they put out a bunch of just images and stuff, but no data. Right. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's entirely possible it could have been U.S. divers. I have reason to suspect otherwise, but I don't know. And unlike the tankies and the guys who are supporting,
hold on.
No, it was U.S. SEALs for sure. It was SEALs, 100%. And I'm like, no. I mean, it could have been. I don't know. But then equally, I also say, I don't know that it wasn't the U.S. I don't know if it was Moscow or the West. Or they, to fit their narrative, have already concluded that it was definitely NATO. And I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, he goes, this is his accusation. Last June, the Navy divers operating under the cover of a widely publicized midsummer NATO exercise known as Baltops 22 planted the remotely triggered explosive that 3 months later destroyed 3 of 4 Nord Stream pipelines, according to a source with direct knowledge of the operational planning. He does not name that source. Like you said, 2 of the pipelines, which are known collectively as Nord Stream 1, had been providing Germany, blah, blah, blah. Nord Stream 2 asked for comment. Adrian Watson, a White House spokesperson, said in an email, this is false and complete fiction. And then the spokesperson for the CIA said this claim is completely and utterly false. And by the way, Hirsch is one of these guys who writes for history in theory. He's one of these guys who's writing for just like Woodward or whatever. You should be able to stand up his work against the FOIA requests 20 years from now. And CIA people and
history.
Exactly. Everybody knows this, that he intends at least to kind of be that. So their answer to it is they would hedge more if they felt there was anything there, knowing that going forward, because this ain't 1973. So it's fascinating to me that that they're like, this is horseshit.
Well, and then you look at the rest. Yeah. And then the rest of the article, he doesn't stand it up with quotes from his one anonymous. And look, we all sometimes the press uses people on background.
Right.
For a variety, 100% legitimate, and it's journalistic practice. It's ethical.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm fine with. But the problem I have with the rest of the article is it's just. I mean, once he gets through the CIA and is it Defense or White House that responded?
White House.
I'm forgetting, but either way, once he gets past the rebutting it, he then just goes on to this massive narrative as if it's fact.
Well, he says
there's saying. My source told me this. My source told me that.
There's one sentence that stands out to me that would be a red flag whenever you're reading something that is supposedly truth-telling journalism, blah blah blah. Is this sentence, which is right after what you're talking about? From its earliest days, Nord Stream 1 was seen by Washington and its anti-Russian NATO partners as a threat to Western dominance. Like that is a hyper narrative, assignment of good guys and bad guys, that anybody who is against the pipeline or against it, they're against it because they're anti-Russian, not against the Russian government, not against anti-Putin, anti-Russian, which, Seymour Hersh is a smart man. He chooses his words, very carefully. And then as a threat to Western dominance. Okay, the reason he says Western dominance, by the way, is because that's where the tankies and the progressives, whenever people say the West, what they mean is the United States. When in reality, and that's been the story, Dorr and all these other assholes have been talking about how we blew it up so that Europe would need our natural gas. If you look at where the natural gas that Europe is actually getting, it's, right now, it's getting it from Northern European countries instead of Russia. It's not going to come from us. We are not going to forever set up a system where we're LNGing Europe. We would rather send that LNG to South America anyways. It's a closer partner and easier to do. We could set up pipelines all through fucking Mexico into South America, print money for decades selling LNG down there, and that'd be that. But that sentence, literally, Washington and its anti-Russian NATO partners see it as a threat to Western dominance. And that's from Nord Stream 1 even. So, again, this is like people talking about, this is like Republicans talking about the Keystone XL pipeline as a big plot by the Biden administration to undermine U.S. energy sovereignty. It's like a low shelf conspiracy theory, linguistically.
Yeah, no, that article is far from definitive. I remain unconvinced. But again, I'm in the camp of we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the camp of, we definitely know, and it's definitely NATO, and it was definitely for Western dominance, and we know. Well, no, you don't, and I don't know either. I have my suspicions. I have people that I talk to who make a good argument that it was Moscow, but I don't know any more than anybody else does. So show us the proof, Moscow.
Right.
Show us.
Yeah.
your-
Well, he has
show
proof.
your right
He
hand. Show us
has.
the
You
card.
have to understand. He has proof,
what else
which
is
is
going on?
his
Well,
disdain.
sure.
He's got his proof is his disdain for the West in this particular battle. That's it. Like that. Oops. Oh shit. Hold on one second. I crashed my own software.